Stand by, we're checking. 7037, if you receive any trawler calls in the vicinity of 4th Ave and Olympic City, please notify. Rampart 80, Rampart 80, possible between them and suspects Alexandria and Beverly. Beverly and Alexandria, see the juvenile detained when advised. Being followed by a blue Mitsubishi and on license plate.
2 cops, copy, log on.
I like to have a beer while we're having a good time.
Kramer, you good to go?
I'm good.
Fuzz, you ready?
I'm ready.
Roxas,
Of course.
you got your beer opened? What are you drinking today?
It is a
Bud Light.
Stone IPA. No, it's not. I got myself an IPA.
Rona.
Yeah, I just got a Rona. It's only 4.7%, so
So you'll be
Back
good
up.
until the end of the episode?
yeah, I'm only drinking one.
Oh, okay. All right. I've only had one beer.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
except for I'm not lying.
Okay, let's get into it then. Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 8, and the theme for tonight, we're going to be talking about patrol operations, and then we're going to be talking a little bit about the PSR operations with a special guest, Kramer, who we've talked about in the past, who actually listens to the episode. Kramer, first, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then if you could tell us what PSR stands for, because I don't remember.
I'll start with that. It starts with Patrol Service Representative. And most people don't really know the difference because the uniform looks almost identically the same. A little bit about myself. I've been on the department for coming up on 4 years, but technically only been a PO for coming up on 3 years because I was a PSR before. And from the same great state as Roxas.
Oh, no.
Really? I did
Yeah.
not know this.
Yeah, I think we had this conversation once.
Yeah.
So you watched Corn Grow for fun as well?
Yeah.
And Cars Rust?
Yes.
All right. Well, we're excited to have you on. We have worked together with Kramer in the past. We have some stories of working with him and such as well that we'll get into. Flying Fuzz is going to open it up with the news story. I'm just reading the link here. Deputy on jet ski chases down fugitive. Let's go into
Yeah.
that, Fuzz.
Yep, so it's Walton County, Florida. A foot pursuit involving a sheriff's deputy took a turn for the wetter when the fugitive jumped into the water to try to make his escape. According to the Walton County Sheriff's Office, Clyde Hunter was wanted for several vehicle-related crimes, including burglary and vehicle theft. Deputies were responding to an anonymous tip about Hunter's whereabouts just before the pursuit. At his residence, deputies found stolen tools and vehicle vessel registrations for 2 stolen jet skis. Deputies spotted Hunter fleeing the area, but found him riding one of the stolen jet skis a short while later. Deputies approached Hunter as he was getting off the jet ski and onto a boat ramp. Body cam video of the incident released by the Walton County Sheriff's Office shows the suspect running into the water. The deputy jumps onto the jet ski and guides the suspect back to land, where he's taken into custody without incident. After his latest spree, the sheriff's office said Hunter is charged with grand theft auto, burglary, and obstruction, among other charges.
Yo, how do I get that cool? Like, he jumped on a stolen jet ski to go catch this guy with his stolen jet ski.
Yeah.
I thought I had some pretty fun experiences with like the side-by-side that they have in downtown, but a jet ski beats that for sure.
I
We
like
don't
how
have
there's
any-
a common denominator, how all of these stories have to do with water.
And Florida.
If yeah, in Florida.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I could see that though. I don't know if I would think about that, like jumping on the stolen jet ski. But then again, I don't really like the water.
Yeah, I've never been in foot pursuit of someone and had the idea, oh, I'm gonna commandeer something.
Yeah, that's the word, commandeer.
Yeah.
Because I watched another video where they commandeered a bike, like straight up, like, "Hey, I need your bicycle," and took it. Can we
Yeah.
do that, Fuzz? What's the policy?
I don't know. Never looked into it.
Uh-oh.
Never
I feel
looked
like
into
you
it.
only see that in the movies. You see
Yeah.
that all the time in the movies. You don't really think it
Yeah,
would
but-
happen in real life.
If it's serious enough,
I guess.
why not? That's Fuzz's homework.
I'll
Like
look it up.
when can we commandeer something? 'Cause
I'll
I
go
wanna know.
I'll go ask Papa Carter. about it.
Okay.
He's got the answer.
All right. Well, thank you for that story. That's a good one. I like that one. There's not video, body camera, or anything with it?
There is video attached to the article.
Is it show them chasing him with the jet ski?
It shows the deputy getting out of his car, chasing the guy. They're still running. I'm watching it right now. This is the first time I watched it. The guy runs into the water. The deputy gets like halfway in the water, and then it cuts to the deputy on the jet ski out in the lake or whatever this is.
Bro, we got to save that link so we can put it on Instagram when we release episode 8. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. All right. Well, let's go into our story time. We're all going to share our own story, but me and Fuzz are going to have one that's related because he did another ride along last night with me, and we ran into some issues just from the beginning. So we didn't get into the area we're supposed to be working until like 2:30 in the morning, which we started 10:30. We had some other stuff come up. We get there, and immediately, for some reason, patrol, as always, needs help with a DUI. Not to mention that there is California Highway Patrol needs help because they have somebody getting flighted into the hospital that's probably DUI. And it was just kind of a mess because everybody else was busy, so we're trying to figure things out. And we ended up having to do a telephonic search warrant on a blood draw for DUI for the patrol guy, which is why he needed our help. Well, we go over there to the hospital. With the telephonics, the way they work is you have a form that you fill everything out on, and then you call a judge and you record the conversation between you and the judge on a handheld recording device. You could use some other things, but the recording device is the best because it's all in one place. It saves on there. You don't have to worry about putting evidence on your phone or on the computer or anything like that. You just use this handheld device, and then you give it to the individual that's going to type everything up and type it out what we would call affidavit, I guess, from you speaking. And then you end up sending that typed out version to the judge. Well, I pull my recorder out to start calling, and we're reaching the time limit of when we have to have it done by. And at first I thought I was just dumb because sometimes I do dumb stuff. And I'm trying to turn this thing on and it will not turn on. And I'm like, I just used it like 2 days ago. Like, I know it has batteries, will not turn on. Well, luckily there was another motorcycle cop at jail. So I run in there and he's like, yeah, it's over here in my motorcycle, blah, blah, go grab it. So I run back out. I grab his, and it's the exact same recorder, mind you, because they're all given to us. And again, I tried to turn it on and was like, dude, I'm just stupid. Like, I'm stupid because this is not turning on at all. He comes outside. I'm like, try this because I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. I was calling people. Fuzz was trying to figure it out. And his had a dead battery too. So now we have 2 recorders that are dead. And we're just sitting at jail like, well, we only have like 10 minutes to finish this warrant or we're going to get in trouble. And so I call my other partner who I ride with a lot. And he shows up. And he's pretty prepared, I guess, because he pulled out his recorder. And again, it was dead. So now we have 3. But he luckily had an extra one for some. I don't know. I mean, I've never thought about carrying 2, but I guess carrying 2 is a good idea because he had an extra one. So he let us use that. And we were able to get it done. But the entire time, like, it's a time pressing matter because we have a certain amount of time that we have to get things done in. And even when you have more time, you still try to meet the minimum amount of time. So with alcohol, it's 2 hours, and you have to have it done in that 2 hour time frame. With drugs, it's 5. But we always try to hit that 2 hour mark because we want it to be just all standardized and the same. Well, luckily we got it, but it was kind of a hassle with all of the other end of it because Fuzz was dealing with the patrol guy and was dealing with the suspect. So I'm going to let Fuzz talk about that side of it.
Yeah, so we finally get the warrant, and I think you texted the patrol guy, Pulsey, and was like, hey, you're good to go, or something like that. Well, the patrol guy comes outside, and they're like, hey, he wants to see the warrant. So we go inside, and Pulsey, the suspect was kind of being a dick, and Polsey shows
And
him
I'm
the
a
warrant.
dick, so
Yeah.
like to help.
So Polsey shows him the warrant. He's like, "Here's your warrant." And he's like, he's still not cooperating. He still doesn't want to give his arm, and so we can get the blood. So we call the sergeant over there, and the CO sergeant was like trying to talk to him, and the CO sergeant ends up making a copy of the search warrant and he actually hands him the suspect a physical copy. So the suspect looks at it, and I don't know what he said because there was a lot of people in this room, so it was kind of cramped. So I don't know exactly what he said, but all I know is he crinkles up the paper and he like shoves it in his pocket or throws it or something. I'm like, what the hell? And he still doesn't want to give his arm. So now the CO sergeant is pissed because he's like, if we got to put you in a chair to get this blood, like now we're going to sit here all day doing paperwork. So the guy doesn't want to give his arm. So CO sergeant walks out. He's pissed. He gets, like 6 COs. They put him in the chair, strap him down. They get the blood, and that's that. But yeah, the guy was just a dick the whole time.
Well, he said so. He wanted to see it, and I'm not going to give him my original.
Of course
So
not.
So I show him like, here's your warrant. Like it'll be in your property. Like that's how it works. Like as long as the nurse has the warrant and the sergeant has the warrant, like your warrant is going to be retained in your property, but we're not going to sit here and let you read over it. Like that's not how it works. The sergeant was super nice to him, like way nicer than I was, way nicer than I would have been. And of course, he's trying to solve the issue and not have to do all this extra work for some dude that's being an asshole. But when he gave it to him, he was trying to read it, and it's not the affidavit because the affidavit is what is on the recorder. So the probable cause that is read to the judge, and the judge saying yes, and the judge saying yes, sign it. All of that stuff is on the recorder, and that's typed out and sent to the judge, who then approves it and signs it, and that eventually will be given to them, but it's not available at that time. So
Right.
once the sergeant was being nice, I was like, if you want me to, I'll let him listen to it. Like if it helps you guys, I'll let him listen to the 6-minute audio recording of me telling the judge what happened. And he was like, no, we're over it. Like we're just gonna do it. He's not gonna cooperate. He's just being dumb. And so when he read the form, all it says is that like we got approval from a judge for the blood of this person at this place by this person, basically is what it says.
Yeah, that's all it says.
So it says on there, when it talks about who he is, it says to wit, which to wit is, from my understanding, the to wit is basically the description. So like when you're writing a ticket, if it's for like fail to maintain lane, like to wit, so and so did fail to maintain lane by doing such and such, right? Like Fuzz,
Right.
is that kind of a way to explain
Yeah,
it? Or
that's a really good way to describe it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
so when he read this, it said to wit for the blood from him, so it said to wit his name, and then below that it said located at such and such for the blood of this and this. And so he thought to wit meant witness, and that's why he crunched it up, because he's like, man, you guys are out of your mind. I ain't no witness. Like that's my name right there. Blah, blah. And he crumples it up, and then of course, like I'm back in like a-hole mode, right? So I'm like, hey sir, just so you know, that's your physical copy. I'm not giving you another one. And he's like, yeah, whatever. Oh, but he was a character for sure.
Yeah. Made things 100 times harder than it needed to be. And
And
it made things 100 times harder than it needed to be, on top of our recorder issue. And it made us miss the CHP warrant, which I really wanted to see.
Yeah, so the CHP warrant, the reason for that is because you can't serve a warrant in somebody else's jurisdiction. So California can't get a warrant from California and then come to Nevada and use it. Like it has to be through the state of Nevada.
Huh.
So they call us to do their warrant, and then we let the judge know, hey, this is for California. We're going to be releasing all evidence to them. Like, is that okay? Blah, blah. And then they approve that side of it. And I've only seen one of them done. They're actually, even in the search warrant format, it's titled rare turnover clause because it doesn't happen super, super often. And so I honestly wanted to do it too, but it was like 3 a.m., 3:15 when we got the patrol guy, when we went to go help the patrol guy. And the California one, he wasn't going to be at the hospital until like 4 because they had just got it and they were flying him in. So So we missed it, but that would have been a fun one.
Yeah.
Roxas, what story do you have for us today?
Okay, so my story was kind of long and drawn out throughout the night. It was a call for the gentleman was having an episode, so he ended up calling the Veterans Help Hotline. So the Veterans Hotline calls us in turn because the guy's just having a medical episode. That's all it is. So our sergeant ends up like canceling the call because it's a medical only call. So somewhere along the lines, the call is pending for probably like 2 or 3 hours before medical finally says, no, we're not going on that call until Metro arrives. We're like, oh, okay. So me and another officer go out there. We're talking with this guy, perfectly normal guy in a wheelchair, lives on his own, has an uncle that takes care of him, can cook for himself, can take care of himself, can do all this other stuff. Well, he thinks that somebody's coming in through his window. So he has like his hospital bed that's in his house raised up to the top height, pushed in front of the window. He says that every once in a while he sees a hand reaching in the window, which is not possible because the glass is not broken and the window doesn't open from the outside. So he's just having, just an episode. Well, during this episode, we're talking to him. He's like, yeah, they're coming in right now. I was like, I'm standing on the outside of the building and nobody's out here. So we're talking to him. We determined that there's not really any reason for us to put him on a legal hold. So we just get medical out there just to check to make sure his vitals are okay. Drawing out, medical takes forever to get there. We're talking with him. There's no reason to put a legal hold on him. So we end up leaving. Well, a couple minutes go by and we end up taking some hot call that takes us right into day shift or whatever. So we're dealing with this. We're coming in. We hear that our gentleman from the Veterans Crisis Line called back and says that someone is now crawling shoulders deep into his apartment. So day shift is rolling out of bed and rolling onto calls. And you can hear them asking questions about it. They're like, well, what did the previous units do on the last call? This and that, blah, blah, blah. So the partner that I had that was on the call gets on the radio, fills him in like, yeah, we were talking to him. This is what he's saying. This is what's actually going on. We didn't have enough stuff to legal him, whatever. And that's pretty much the end of it. He's just going to keep calling in. Well, the shortness of their attitude on this call was great because they're just like, well, how many times did he call in 911? Which he didn't call 911. He called the Veterans Crisis Line every time. So they're looking for something. And then eventually they get there and you can tell, like looking at it from their call record, that they were there for probably 2 to 3 minutes before they called in a CRT unit for an L2K. So I don't know what details they determined in that time that they were there, but they weren't happy with the call in general that we didn't take care of the issue the night before they logged on. So they came in, got kind of pissy about it, legaled them, and moved on with their lives. But it just shows the difference between some of us younger guys that take a few minutes to talk to someone and realize that there's nothing we can do besides someone who's been on the department forever and doesn't have time for somebody's call.
Day shift is just salty. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Day shift is just salty.
It was fun though, because we got done with the hot call and we're all doing paperwork and stuff. We're all sitting in the briefing room just finishing up stuff so that day shift can transport the guy that we snagged up. And we're just listening to the radio, and just the attitudes of everyone that went to that call was great.
Hey man, it's early morning. They haven't got their Starbucks yet or their Dutch Bros. Yeah, let's go Dutch Bros. We're not going to promote Starbucks. Nobody likes Starbucks.
What's that?
They haven't got their... Exactly. No, they haven't got their Dutch Bros yet. They haven't rolled out of bed and scraped the crap out of their eyes. It's okay. It's hard in the mornings. I get it. That's why I work graveyard. I get it. So we're gonna let Kramer tell a story, and we decided, if you noticed, we didn't choose to do an interview with Kramer like we did with McDaniel when she came on and told her stories. We wanted this to be more of inclusive, where it's still all of us and Kramer's just jumping in. Kramer is going to kind of take the reins when we talk about the PSR, but we wanted him to tell us a story really quick. So Kramer, what story do you have from work?
It's actually a story that involves myself and Flying Fuzz. We were doing Valley-wide VC, working in Northeast. We hadn't really gotten a whole lot the whole day. We're at a stoplight, and this motorcycle comes flying through, runs the red light. I thought the girl on the back was going to fly off because the road had a little bit of a hump in it. And so we start following it down the street. And he turns into a neighborhood, makes a hard right turn. And I'm like, this guy's trying to run from us. But I didn't think he ever saw us either because they were going so fast and he didn't have a helmet on. So we had multiple things to stop him for. So then I start going through this neighborhood, which is pretty dark lit. There's no street lights or anything like that. And I realize he's circling back to the road that we were on. We were facing like northbound, and he was going to come back southbound. So as we come through and get back out onto the street, that's when I turn on the lights, and we're going to get him to try to catch up to him to stop him. He actually stops at the red light as we're calling it out. And thankfully there was I think it was a flex sergeant maybe or something that was on the other side of the intersection that happened to be there as well. We both like jump out of the car because it seemed like he really wasn't listening. Jump out of the car, grab them both, the man that's driving and the female in the back. And he's like, the guy's like, kind of like doesn't know really what's going on. So we finally get him off the bike, get him in front of the car, get him detained. She had a helmet on. His story was that it was his son's bike. He didn't have it. He just bought it, but the ignition was all damaged. Like, I was like, this is going to be a stolen motorcycle for sure.
Yeah, I think there was a screwdriver in the ignition, if I remember correctly.
That's what it was. A screwdriver. I'm like, what the heck? A screwdriver in the ignition. And he's like, my son just bought it. He's like, he has the paperwork at home. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, we're in Northeast, and I'm pretty sure this is probably stolen. But I think the flex sergeant helped us finding the VIN number or somebody, and we ran it. It wasn't stolen, but it wasn't registered to his son either, which this was kind of when this whole COVID thing or right before. So it was kind of iffy on whether this was real or not. His story he just wasn't really sure. So ended up, we towed his vehicle his motorcycle because he didn't have any proof that his son owned it or he owned it. He didn't even have, I think, a valid driver's license. I don't think he had anything. We wrote him like maybe 6 or 7 tickets. And towed his bike and then let him go. So it was just like he was trying. I'm like, dude, you were flying so fast. I'm surprised this girl isn't splattered on the road back there. You hit that bump so hard. He's like, oh. I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, he was clueless. He was an idiot.
He had no idea like what was going on at first. He's like, I didn't even know you guys were back there. I'm like, I know you didn't because you're driving so fast. You didn't even stop at the stop sign back there either when you came back out onto this main road. So it was just it was funny.
Yeah.
But
I'm surprised he stopped.
Yeah.
I think it helped that I don't even know that he knew we were behind him. I think he saw the other vehicle. The sergeant had turned his lights on. I think that's why he stopped.
Yeah.
Because he saw them. Like, I don't think he ever realized we were behind him. Because we didn't. I don't
think there were mirrors on the bike either.
Yeah, no. There were so many like equipment violations and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
These you guys' inner traffic units coming out there.
Exactly, pretty much.
When I have a hard time like with motorcycles when they actually stop writing them tickets because I'm like, whoa, he actually stopped. Wait, what? What do I do now?
Yeah.
Because if they stop, they're usually legit. Like they have all their stuff, or they're missing like an M like endorsement or whatever. But they're like, yeah, like I just haven't got it yet. Blah blah. COVID, right? That's everybody's excuse nowadays.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, like it's not like he wrecked. Like he was just going 10 over, 15 over, whatever it was. And I'm like, does he really need a ticket? He stopped. He's got to be at least some sort of good in his heart if he's stopped. That or he's too scared to ride fast enough to get away from us. One of the two. But I'm glad to know you guys wrote him 6 tickets. Warms my heart. That was one thing that with the search warrant when we did it, when I walked in, obviously I had my motorcycle boots on and stuff. And he's like, man, this guy's a motorcycle cop. He wasn't even there. And I was like, this is my job. Like,
you got to walk up to him, whisper his name in his ear, and tell him, I see everything.
I see everything. All right, we're going to get into the actual topic of the episode today. First, we're going to talk about patrol operations and kind of how they work. We'll take it step by step. How would you guys describe the day-to-day operations of a patrol officer?
Adult daycare?
Yeah, pretty much. Agreed.
That's it. Podcast is over. You guys have a good rest of the day.
Drop. Explain. So I know what you mean by adult daycare, but explain adult daycare. What you mean by that?
We take care of the world's problems. That's pretty much what we do. Someone has a problem. Who do you call? Not the Ghostbusters.
Really not medical either, because they sit there for 2 hours and wait.
Yeah, they wait for us also, which is fine. You know, big guys got to come out first.
That's pretty much it. Respond to calls for service.
Yeah, I mean, we get some stuff every once in a while. You get some free time. You get to go stop people, make sure that there isn't any crime going in a high crime area. But other than that, it's like we're at the public's beck and call.
And with the difference between swings and graves, graves obviously has more time to do stuff, right?
You know, it's been busy the last few days. It's been pretty crazy, but I think that that's just in general right now. I think that at this time of the year, it's just kind of busy.
Well, I know for our area command, it swings. It seems like we haven't done anything, but we've had to go to all these protests and work those and get activations and things, and they noted that it seemed like swings wasn't doing a whole lot compared to the other two shifts at our area command, and it's everyone, once it was talked about and explained, it's like, oh yeah, you guys do go to all the protests because that's what the time of day that they happen.
Yes.
And so you never have time to do anything.
So with the difference in swings and graves, what typically as far as calls go, I mean, for me, I handle car accidents, DUIs, stop speeders, which is like shooting fish in a barrel. What do you guys typically see for your shifts?
Anything and everything.
Yeah, still see
Car
the same
accident,
stuff.
shootings, domestics, homeless
What do
people
you get
refusing to
most of?
leave.
You get the most
Homeless
of whatever
people
you look
refusing
for.
to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say we get more of one thing over the other. I would say the rarer calls, like the child molest, abuse, neglect type calls, those are a little bit more rare, but not one call is more than the other.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I think that depends on what area, because we get those probably at least twice a week.
Yeah, true.
In the part of town that I work in now. So, but we see all the same calls you guys do. Just maybe some aren't as often. We see more of the domestics, suicide attempt type things. Just because we're
not as many homeless running around with machetes in your area.
It depends on what part you work in, apparently. The area I work in, not so much. The southern half of the area, yeah, a little bit more.
Well, Kramer brings up a good point in the difference of areas and such. With downtown, it's a lot of tourists or people visiting. Do you guys have a lot of issues with the people that actually live there as well? Other than the homeless who don't technically live there?
Well, I mean, unless you're on a bike unit, you pretty much don't deal with the tourists at all. Except for the stratosphere. You deal with the stratosphere because they're normal guys have to go down there. But other than that, if you're dealing with a tourist, it's because they got lost on the boulevard somewhere.
Yeah.
Other than that, you really shouldn't be dealing with a tourist that's from out of state.
What do you guys prefer in your freedom time, referencing your specific areas? What do you guys prefer to work on or try to
traffic
make a difference in? He didn't wait at all. He was ready for that.
He didn't even click the little hand here on the Zencaster. He just straight up jumped in. You raise your hand next time.
Okay, so why traffic? And what areas of your area does that affect the most?
Well, you can pretty much do traffic anywhere in DTAC. And I don't know. I just like traffic.
So that's a very bad oral board question or answer. I'm just gonna take that. At least make something up.
Well, this ain't an oral board.
At least say something along the lines as if you're passionate about it because it changes people's lives. Or
is this an oral board like coaching session or?
I'm just saying, I just like traffic. Okay. Good to know.
Good enough answer for the podcast. I mean,
hey, the people want to know, Fuzz. The people want to know what's in your heart. Why do you got to be so mysterious all the time?
I hope when he goes for his oral board, they pull this podcast and play it. Straight up, LT level pulls out our podcast and plays it.
So, Flying Fuzz, if I can refer to you as that, on episode 8 of the Drop Stock podcast, minute 28
Oh.
and 36 seconds, you stated, and let me play it for you. Traffic. I don't know. I just like it.
Is that how you really feel?
What about you, Roxas? What do you like to hang out at and focus on?
I like to watch the drug houses. That's kind of like a fun thing. You see a house where there's a lot of foot traffic coming in and out. I just like to sit back and watch it, which is hard to do in a black and white. But
So, that's a good oral board question or answer, because really all he does all night is write taxi tickets.
yeah.
But he doesn't say that.
That's when I have to pad the numbers. There's
That's
a certain time in the night where it's like, crap, I haven't gotten any paperwork.
That's to make him look good, so that it doesn't look like he was sitting around watching
The drug
houses
house.
all
Yeah,
night.
because that's just it. You can do a drug house. You stop people. You do this and that. I'm only looking for info. I'm not looking to take these people to jail or write them a ticket right now. I want info. So I make a stop and it gets, cleared out, and I go back to watching for the next guy to walk in or out of this place. But I'm still doing something. It doesn't mean I'm just sitting there on Instagram chatting with my followers. I'm actually out there serving the public, just in a different way, so that the next guy that gets all hyped up on meth doesn't come smashing through your front window.
I think that's a good point, though. Like, you still have to be doing your job,
Yes.
right? But there are certain things that you can work on in certain areas. Now, Kramer is, for lack of better terms, he basically just jumped ship and left us all.
Yep.
He went to like
That's because I couldn't get off of Graveyard. I had to get off of Graveyard. That was my thing.
And here's the rest of us trying to jump off of swings to get back on a graveyard.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, I mean, I'm on Graveyard weekends off. I like it,
I
so
know.
I'm not.
It was the 12s. The 12s. It was not conducive to home life, essentially. Like the 10 to 8, the 10-hour shifts, those didn't affect me as much. Those weren't that bad.
Well, I loved the 12s because it gave me an extra day off. I loved the 12s, but
Yeah.
I'd be okay if traffic went to 12s. I'd be so happy with that. I mean, we don't do anything on that anyways, so what's the difference?
What's 2 more hours, huh?
Exactly. What's 2 more hours of sitting in the parking lot? But with Kramer's area, the only way I can describe it is that it's like, the rich snobby kids from high school. It's where they're all from. That's the only way I could describe it.
That's who I deal with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All the kids that won't go to school and their parents call on them.
And the cops are going to arrest you because you don't go to school.
Yeah.
I legitimately went on a call. A parent called because her son wouldn't do his homework when the whole schools were shut down. He wasn't doing his online homework. She called us.
It was like my last PSA or 2 PSAs ago.
That's funny. What do you focus on in those areas for fun? Like if you have freedom?
We have our drug stuff, and we have that type of things. Because our borders have some good hunting ground for that kind of thing, and finding people and regular people that we interact with or cross the border from living in a not so nice part, but think that they're going to come up to the nicer part and cause problems.
Mhm.
So you run into them up there more often than people realize, and even for people that live up there, they would never imagine some of the people that we run into. And I know they think they have their sense of security because of where they live, but they still need to be careful because we run into some really terrible, bad people that you would never imagine would be in that part of town
Yeah.
all the time.
Well, the thing is everything's so close. It takes 10 minutes to get to that side of town from like a bad area.
I mean, when they were given free bus rides, that did not help either at all.
Free bus rides.
But even that, yeah, it doesn't take very long. A lot of people will go to the hospitals up there, and that's usually sometimes where we run into problems because they think they're going to get a better sense of care. I don't know. But then you deal with the juvies because people calling on them all the time.
What would you, if you could choose, like if they said you have 4 hours to go wherever you want in your area and do whatever you want, what would you do?
What would I do? I mean, I would literally drive out of. So we have two areas. We have Victor and Robert, and I would literally drive into Robert area, and I could be way more productive in doing car stops and pedestrian stops and finding info, such as like Roxas was talking about, or even traffic stuff, than I would be in Victor area.
See, Robert area is the bad side of that side of town, even though it's not that bad, but it's so close. It's 10 minutes, right? And
you have Flamingo that runs through there and Tropicana that runs through there. So those are just straight pathways, to
You're right.
other parts that aren't as great.
And that's the thing that when I worked in like Northwest, like, because everybody says like, oh, Northwest is lame, blah, blah, blah. Graveyard Northwest gets a lot of good stuff because people are coming from bad areas into that area to do bad stuff.
Right.
Like, I feel like every night there was a stolen car being driven down the roadway and we're trying to catch them. Like, just because people come into that area to do the bad things because it's 10 minutes down the road and the people there are either oblivious or, they have a nice car that they want to steal or what have you.
And the thing about like even Victor, I would say most of our calls compared to DTAC, if somebody calls in, reference a homeless guy chasing them with a machete, it's probably pretty legit. Whereas downtown, that may not be so legit.
Yeah.
A lot of your calls, violent type stuff. Yeah, some of them aren't as dynamic once you find out and get there and get more details. And I think that was a benefit of coming from downtown because I was able to kind of pick through some of what they're saying to dispatch and that they're relaying to us as we're going to the call. You can almost already tell this is probably a little more legit or this isn't at all.
Mm-hmm.
So while we're on the topic of downtown and dispatch and legit things and kind of the reaction, because if basically what I take from Kramer saying that is if he's sitting there eating lunch and somebody calls in saying like this building's on fire, he's going to jump up and go, well, when we were in downtown, we were sitting together eating lunch, and especially in the winter with the homeless population in downtown, there's fire calls every night, and they're no big deal. It's like, whatever. Well, we're sitting there eating lunch, and the dispatcher comes over the radio, and she says, oh, there's a fire working off of this channel on the radios at this location just right down the street from us. And we're like, no big deal. That's typical downtown stuff. Well, we continue eating, and about, 5 minutes later, she comes over the channel again, and she's like, yeah, they need more units. People are jumping from the third story, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, oh, crap. Mm-hmm. So we jump up and run off. And it ended up being like an abandoned building that had homeless people in it. It was on fire, and there's only like one way in because it was condemned and abandoned, and it was a whole thing. But that's the difference. If you hear that in an area where it's not common or those things aren't BS most of the time, like, people are going, like, running. If it's a homeless guy, you're like, gosh, in downtown, if it's a homeless guy, you're like, gosh, dang it, freaking Kevin's doing that again. Like,
Kevin.
Yeah.
If it's
Kevin. Kevin! Is this Home Alone?
We do have one question referencing kind of patrol operations from a viewer. It's kind of the difference between like patrol and traffic, but they want to know on a typical shift for patrol, how many DUIs are coming through? What do you guys typically deal with?
So I had a NHP guy ask me this question a few weeks ago, and I told him that we probably do a good like 4 a year, and that's like a lot for a patrol officer here.
Yeah.
But we don't do a lot of DUIs on the patrol side.
Have you gotten like a record number in one shift or?
No, one.
One.
Yeah, it was one of those times where Flying and I were partners. You get one, and we're both staring at each other like we haven't done this in a year and a half. So it might be a one and done night.
Yeah.
And they're asking like why it took you so long to get the blood draws, like because we didn't know how to read the field sobriety test sheet. We didn't make the 2 hour mark because it took us forever to actually accomplish the test.
Or we make contact and we go back to the patrol car and it's like, I think he's drunk. What do we do now?
Yeah, we're tallying up points. Do we make the
Write
arrest
that down.
now?
Write that down.
Yeah. Should we submit a warrant to arrest him later? Yeah, we'll do that one.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, could you imagine?
All right, sir. Don't do what you just did again.
Hey, Sarge, can you sign off on this for me? Yeah, we stopped some dude. We think he might have been drunk, so here's the warrant we submitted
Yeah,
for him.
we weren't 100% sure, so we were okay with it. Holy cow.
We get them a few more in the residential areas because they're all leaving from down there and coming back home. So if they miss all you guys, they eventually find us.
Yeah, at some point you're going to run into somebody.
We get a lot of
Or something.
409 calls and 410 calls. Sometimes, I mean, like anywhere, you're not really probably going to make it there by the time the vehicle, unless they're actually following it 100% the whole time.
Especially in a normal area command where they're a little bit bigger than DTAC is.
Yeah, and that was definitely something to get used to. Is somebody calls out for help and you think, okay, they're only at a block or two away. Well, that's going to take you a lot longer to get to than it is in DTAC a block or two away. So
Yeah.
I think the DUIs in DTAC too, you made mention that they leave our area to go home to where you work.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is the freeway is so close to all those bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, unless we get them from that short little few blocks we have them in our area before they hop on the freeway and then they're gone.
Or their home's only a couple blocks away.
Yeah.
The way I see that is as basically NHP's problem if they jump on the freeway right off the bar.
No, it's a community problem. DUIs kill people.
Holy
We need to work together to solve the problem.
He didn't watch the same video that we watched on the DUI strike force.
Yeah. You didn't watch that video, have you, Pulsey?
I don't think I have.
How are you in traffic and you've not seen this DUI video?
Maybe we have, because I obviously didn't need to see the video to spark a passion for DUIs. I had a passion.
So are you accusing me of not caring until I saw this video?
The last answer that you gave us before this really nice one was, I don't know, I like traffic. That wasn't very passionate.
Now the real
I'm a
passion's
simple guy.
coming
I don't
out.
know what to say.
Yeah. I'm a simple man with simple needs. Leave it at that.
Well, for traffic, the thing with traffic is that patrol calls us or we go to the car accidents.
Mhm.
Like, that's the biggest difference. So we have a lot more opportunity. We don't deal with the homeless people. Like I've said in the past, we don't have to go to this call if we don't want to. The only thing we have to do is DUIs, car accidents, and traffic enforcement, unless otherwise directed by a superior. But for us, we're the people that, just like last night, if patrol has an issue, they call us and we come down and handle it. And something I didn't realize that I just realized when Kramer said something about unless they actually fall asleep. In training, when I was up in Northwest finishing my training, I had calls like that where we showed up and this dude is passed out in his vehicle. And looking back now, he's probably DUI. He's probably on drugs. But I don't think we did a DUI on him. I think we just did a medical call. Because all we had was some dude passed out. And it's summertime. The car's off. Who knows how long he's been there. He's sweating and drooling and all this stuff. So we didn't worry about anything else. We just got him in the ambulance and got him taken care of. But I don't think we did the DUI. I don't remember. Maybe we did. But I had that same exact scenario 2 weeks ago. And we arrested the dude. Because I know now and I can look at it and tell, like, okay, this guy he's high, he's on drugs, he's been drinking, whatever it is. And I know how to explain and write that down.
You can articulate that he was in possession or control of that vehicle, which was it's
Exactly.
a hard thing to articulate, especially once you look at it. Like, you read NRS and policy and stuff like that, you'll question whether the guy was actually in control of the vehicle.
And we've talked about it before. It's a training issue, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, we are taught how to conduct the tests. We are not taught how to necessarily investigate the DUI.
Mm-hmm.
You're just taught to be like, here's how you do the test.
I think you guys are taught how to investigate, but I think you guys are taught at the basic, like, common denominator level.
You're
like,
taught at a level that you don't understand yet, because they teach you everything in the academy, but they don't explain it to you after you're out.
Well, and I don't feel like they teach because they teach, like, if you walk up to vehicle, right? You stop somebody for speeding. You walk up to the vehicle. They teach you to look for the indicators. They teach you to ask questions. But if you don't do that consistently, you either forget or you're like, I don't know. Like sometimes I have a hard time finding my insurance too. I don't know. Sometimes I hand people my debit card when they ask for my ID. Like, who knows? Like what have you. But the biggest thing that I'm talking about is the difference between when you go to a car accident and the dude's out of his vehicle sitting on the sidewalk and he's borderline. You're not 100% sure if he's plastered or not, or if he's on drugs or if he's high on marijuana. Like, you're not 100% sure. And then you're like, well, I didn't even see him in the car. How do I do that? How do I deal with that? Whereas for us, we get that extra training of, okay, if they're not in the vehicle, this is how you do that. Or if they're passed out in the vehicle, this is how you do that. So I could see that being a training part, but I think the basics, like as far as just a basic walk up to the window, I just think it's more of a like repeating, like repetition.
You don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you don't practice it and make that a point to ask those questions, you forget it. And I mean, I'm guilty of it. Like essentially every person I stop should be getting asked those questions, but I usually don't ask those questions unless I have an indication otherwise. But it all comes down to basically patrol doesn't know what they're doing. So, like for example, there's a drug recognition expert, we call it DRE. You will hear patrol come over the radio and they'll say, "Hey, like I think this guy might be high on something. Can I get a DRE officer?" Like that's not a DRE officer isn't to figure out whether they're drunk or high or not. Like that's your job on a patrol level or as a standard traffic officer. And traffic has the advanced impaired driving courses and such, but a DRE officer is used for after they get to jail. You go into a room with them and determine what they're on for the testing.
Right, and that's something that's part of, again, training, in my opinion, is we just don't know that the difference between DRE and A-RIDE versus that basic level of training we get in the academy.
And I agree with that because even when I was in patrol before I had that training, I didn't know that either. And the thing is this is how I learned about DRE. I was in patrol working, and then all of a sudden somebody asked for a DRE officer. Like that's how I learned about it. Nobody told me that I can remember. Did they tell us about DRE in the academy?
I don't think they did. They might have mentioned it, but I don't think that anyone ever really explained it. Like, oh, you're going to specifically ask for this person at this time.
Yeah, I don't even know if they even mentioned DRE, but that's it's just one of those things. The extra training for the specialized units, and I mean, no traffic officer will have an issue helping patrol. And even the super senior guy in my squad, he put it in really good perspective last night. One of the other guys was like, "Oh, you let patrol dump that DUI on you?" And he's like, "Hey, like I got my DUI for the month. Like I don't have to go out and look for one now. They're not going to yell at me because I'm showing that I'm doing DUIs." And it fell into my lap. Basically is how he looked at it. We don't have a problem helping you. It's when you wait an hour to call for help and you haven't
done anything.
You haven't done any other paperwork. Like the one we showed up on last night, we didn't get there until after the hour mark, and he hadn't actually done like his forms. He didn't even do standard field sobriety testing because the guy was unable to do it. Like he had nothing done. All he did was drive down to jail and get the guy into jail.
Yeah, it took an hour.
And it took an hour. And this isn't like a brand new cop. This is like he's been on for at least 4 years. Probably longer, probably closer.
5 or 6, I would say.
5 or 6. So it's like that kind of stuff, that's where it kind of becomes an issue. Like when I called, he's kind of like the acting sergeant, like he does the sergeant duties when the sergeant's not able to. And when I called him, he was like, "What the heck? Why are you like, what is this guy's problem? It's freaking already been an hour and he hasn't even done anything." I was like, "Yeah, I know, dude. Like, don't even get me started." That's where we get kind of bitter because we are held to a super high standard as traffic to get everything done within the 2 hour mark. If we don't, it goes all the way up to the sheriff.
It's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. And we can get in trouble for it. So it's as long as you're not screwing us over in the process, we don't have an issue helping. Now, on the flip side, I won't ever screw you over if that happens. Like, it's on me if I take on that challenge. If I say, no, you only have 30 minutes, I'm not taking it, you're too deep into this, it's yours, that I can do that. But if I say, okay, I'll help you, I'll do it, then it's on me at that point. If I get over the 2 hour mark, not your guys' fault. That's on me.
What if you come to help for the search warrant and the search warrant only?
It has to be so for me personally, how I would do that, because if you can't do a search warrant, you can't do it. Somebody
Yeah.
has to do it, and if I'm available, I have to do it. Now, if it's over the 2 hours, like let's say there's 30 minutes left,
Mhm.
and I get there, but I'm the only one that can do it, then I can't say no. I have to do it. It's my job. But if it goes over that 2 hour mark, my email to my chain of command would say all the information about the case as far as like what I was given, and then it would be detailed like this was the time I find out about it, this is the time I started it, this is the time I got it. So when they look at that, they see like, oh, the person started this call, the patrol officer started this call at 6 o'clock, but the traffic guy didn't get told about it or asked to help until 7:52. Well, he finished the search warrant at 8:05 and he got the blood at 8:10. So really he did it all in 30 minutes on his part. So it's not an issue with the traffic guy, it was an issue with the patrol guy. Now I wouldn't say in there like, oh, it was patrol's issue, but they're not going to get mad at me because somebody didn't ask for help or there was other circumstances. They only need to know, as far as I'm concerned, like what I was doing and why it was over the 2 hours. And if it's not because of my negligence or because of my mistraining or ignorance, it's whatever. And I've had those. I've had them where I've set them up and nothing happened. Like nobody even cares. They're like, oh, okay, makes sense. You guys didn't get there until this time. And you guys finished it in 30 minutes. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Because if somebody can't do it, they can't do it. Because if you go to jail and you're like, I can't do it, I need somebody to help me, and they ask and they ask and they ask, and I don't free up for an hour, like that's not on you either.
Yeah.
Now, if you're like this dude last night and there's just no explanation for why you're an hour and a half into this when you're asking for help, that's different. All right, we're going to go into PSR operations, and Kramer's going to take the lead for most of this because I know nothing. We've already talked about I mean, I'm actually, most of these questions in here that I put are my questions because, and I have more too that maybe we'll go into, but we'll see. We kind of already talked about what the PSR is. It's the Patrol
Service representative.
You forgot already. Holy cow.
How did you forget?
That lasted long.
Patrol Service Representative.
And he's the one getting drunks off the road, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but that's easy to remember. I care about that.
But you can't remember an acronym?
Yeah, I'm not really good with acronyms and reading and words and being smart.
Oh, man. This guy writes a search warrant.
Yep, exactly. Calls the judge.
True. Yeah, let's not go into that.
Well, I'm trying so to talk awkward. I was like, damn, I thought I was awkward, little boy.
I'm trying to talk to the judge last night, and freaking my partner's shaking the car that we're in from the other.
That was funny.
Yeah, it was funny. I was trying not to laugh. What does a PSR do?
A PSR, I mean, it's pretty much in the title. They assist patrol. They're out there to go to like property crimes or static crimes. If someone breaks into your house and there's no one there, you just came home from work and found it like this, we go out there, do the report. Kind of like if you were to go to make a station report, but we're in the field. We can do it right then and there. They don't have to be referred to go to the station by dispatch or patrol. We're out there. We're available. So basically, we write reports for usually non-violent type things. There was an occasion, but usually I was assisted by someone on patrol when I was a PSR, and I was more there just helping them out because I write reports all the time. So I'm way better at articulating things than they are sometimes. So more of helping them with wordage and different things.
It's a good thing to
In
bring over
addition,
to patrol.
yeah. In addition to reports, do you guys help with like PIC or anything like that?
Yeah. So usually, if like an accident came out or anything like that, I would go do that. Other little things that we could do was latent prints. So like if we went to a burglary, someone broke in someone's house, and we actually found like fingerprints on the window, I could go ahead and get that done right there and do pictures and everything like that, so I didn't have to waste ID's time. So there was kind of a
Wow.
little combination of things. We actually went to a class with ID for how to correctly take pictures of a scene and how to do latent prints. And then even that, so like if patrol needed, somebody to take pictures of something for them, and like especially with my squad that I worked with, they knew that I could do that. I could come swing by their call real fast, take pictures of whatever they needed if it was a domestic violence type call, because I had a better camera than just using the tablets,
Yeah.
so that I could do whatever pictures they needed, upload them for them, and then be done, and then go on to the next thing. So save them time, help them out as much as possible.
I didn't realize you guys did blatant prints and
Yeah, it's
stuff.
pretty cool.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either. That's good to know. But that's not everybody. That was just extra training you got, or is that
No, that's
part of the hiring?
that's part of PSR training.
Okay.
So some, I will, just as it is in patrol, some are more senior than others, and some don't want to do things that they don't have to do, kind of stuff. So um, I always took the extra time to help out the guys I worked with on my squad, because I knew if I needed something, they were going to come help me. And there were a couple calls where it was like, I'm not really a police officer. You're going to have to wait, and I'm getting on the radio, and now they're flying
Yeah.
code to me,
Yeah.
which, and one, it was really funny because I didn't realize it at the time until later on at the end of the day. But they were like, dude, when you keyed up the mic, there was a blood curdling scream that all we heard across the radio. And that's because it came out as like a missing person call, but then when I got there, the girl's there, and then ended up turning into domestic violence pretty much right in front of my eyes. And as I key up the mic it was weird when I got there, so I had already requested someone. And then when that started to happen and I key up the mic and it screams, now the whole area command's coming to me.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of funny because, as a PSR, you carry pepper spray. You don't carry a gun or anything because you're in a civilian position. So, they're going to come there. They're going to help you out whenever they can, especially if you help them out, just like anything. So,
Oh, yeah, that was the question we had from the last episode, too. How old do you have to be a PSR?
21,
So you have to be 21. Okay.
yeah. Which is like, because the cadet thing was 18 to 21, but you're going into patrol, but the PSRs is 21.
Okay.
That sort of thing. Going to the gun thing, why we don't get guns, I think it's because we're a civilian position, so you have to go qualify, which means you have a lot more liability. The reason that I think like ID goes to get that is because they actually impound firearms. They actually deal sometimes with doing evidence related to firearms, so they have to have like a decent knowledge. Now, I did find out that they technically don't have to carry a gun. It's not required. It's something that they have the ability to do, and that's to get, I think, more familiar with firearms, because they are impounding them sometimes for homicide or patrol or whatever type of situation it is. They actually have to impound them. I'd never impounded a firearm that I think we knew how to, but I don't know that I ever had to, unless I was helping patrol, with a call or something like that. And even that, I kind of knew how to do all paperwork. So if they needed help, getting a TCR and all the other paperwork, rest packet done, I could go there and knock a couple of sheets out for them, and then they could, move on before a lot of the stuff went to
Nice.
online stuff.
So if you're 21 to be a PSR and you got to be 21 to be a cop, why would someone choose PSR over patrol? Like, what made you go PSR before patrol?
So what made me is that I'm not from here. I'm from Indiana. And so to be a cop there, is a little bit different. Most I have family members that are police officers and some friends, and most of them have some type of, even if it's an associate's in law enforcement or some type of that to get in. And I didn't really understand the profession 100%. And I had saw a posting for it, and I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of the same, but I can go work for the department and go from there." And then literally, I got out of my academy that was like 4 weeks long or some 5 weeks maybe. Started into my field training aspect of it, and then I was like, yeah, I should have went and been a cop first. But it's okay because I got to learn, like I got to learn how everyone responds to calls. I got to learn so much of things that I know people struggle with in overwhelming when they go through field training after they go through the police academy, that I didn't have to worry about. I was already, leaps and
Proficient in
bounds,
it.
I would say. Yeah, I was very efficient
Yeah.
in writing reports, which everyone struggles with for the most part. Not everyone, but most everyone. And so, even during our academy, one of my attack officers was like, "Hey, you guys, you have someone in here that wrote probably more reports than I have ever written. So you need to use him, and
Yeah.
use his knowledge and how he does things, because I just have a very, step by step way that I do my reports, and it makes it easy no matter what type of report I'm doing. I have no struggles with it. So, I helped out. I actually hosted a class one day outside of the academy, on like report writing, and just gave a lot of information more so for people, on how I do some things, and it helped out a lot of people. So,
It's kind of nice. It'd be nice if they open that position before being 21, like maybe 20. Drop it a year so that people can get that part out of the way. Like report writing is 90% of the job, anyways.
right.
So it's like if you get in and do that kind of stuff, like the easy hard stuff, and get that out of the way, then all you have to worry about is the cop end of it.
Right. And that was the thing, like something I don't remember who I spoke to, but they're like, "Hey, just, once you get close to your probationary period being over for PSR, go ahead and start putting in for patrol, because then you can just make the move over once your probationary period's over." Which I probably didn't technically have to wait for, but it's just one of those like job security. If I were to get injured or something like that during the academy, and I already have that job that I can fall back on, and I know how to do.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's kind of what I did, and that's why it took a year. But in that year, I learned a ton of information, and just being able to ask, all the guys on my squad that I worked with, every single day, why do you guys do this? Why do you do that? And just having that whole bit of knowledge just helped me leaps and bounds in the academy. I know, during you guys' academy episodes, just talking about being exhausted and learning. Well, I've already learned a lot of that stuff, so I don't have to, go back over so much of that stuff during the academy.
Oh yeah.
I can focus on the things I need to focus on. So
You get the full night of sleep that night.
Yeah, I got a lot more sleep in my academy than a lot of people did, for sure. So, but yeah, it just helped out tons and tons with getting through all that stuff. And
Why is the age 21? Does anybody know? Like, is there a certain stipulation because they drive a car, like a department vehicle? Like, what's the reason?
I don't really know the reason, because even a cadet, which is essentially the same position, you're only 18.
Yeah.
So I don't know, to be honest, what the reasoning is.
I
I
want to
have
know
no
now.
clue either. Because cadet
We
is
need to ask
18 to
somebody.
21. Because I think you can age out of cadet. Is
But
that
cadet's
correct,
not a
Aaron?
thing anymore, is it?
No, I haven't seen
No.
him post that in a while. Years.
But even the last PSRs that I know about, I guess they were in the academy when I got done with the academy. There was like 3 or 4 of them, which there were only 3 in my class as well, and only one person from my class was still a PSR. So
Yeah.
2 of us have moved on to other things in the department. So
Well, and I can understand, like we've talked about in the past, like I can understand somebody in the police academy and then they need a little bit more focus or training on report writing
yeah,
or like there was Leal, who's in the academy again now, from my class, but they sent him out as a PSR because he's a solid dude. Like he's super solid. He just, because of his limitations on whether it was speaking English or writing or such, like they helped him out by sending him to PSR, so he had that opportunity to, learn the radio traffic, learn the codes, work on all of that etiquette so that he can then come back, and he's in the academy now and he's doing fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird that it's 21. I mean, I guess if somebody has a reason they're not going to be a cop or they can be a cop and they want to do PSR, like, it's obviously a good gig.
Yeah.
It might
It's
be a
just
maturity
interesting.
thing too.
As far as the 21 age,
Yeah.
or yeah, maybe, but
I see it more being like an age on the opposite end, where someone kind of wants to be close to police work, but they're like, "Hey, I'm a little older. I can't handle that." But
Right.
yeah,
I think most
so
most are.
Yeah.
There's not too many that are younger.
Mhm.
I mean, some are, but even like the academy after me, 2 of the people in that academy were both PSRs,
Yeah.
and so they switched over. So it was kind of the thing to do when I was in the academy. Several PSRs. I think even in your academy, Pulsifer, there was one. But it's not too bad. It's a good gig, I think, because like you guys were saying, you learn a lot. You get a lot of entry level stuff. If you're not sure that police officer is the thing you want to do, and you can get the opportunity if they're hiring for a PSR to take it, and then really get a good perspective of, is this something I want to commit myself to? That's definitely
now that's a good way to look at it,
Yeah.
because that's something we've talked about in the past, where like you are giving up, you're basically turning everything over, saying, I hope this works out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get 6 months into being a patrol officer and you don't like it,
Yeah.
or you get in the academy and you're like, I'm not ready for
Like,
this,
holy cow.
like you're kind of you're in the ditch at that point, because you've left your job, you've probably moved, you spent a bunch of money on equipment, you did this and this. So if you don't like it, you're done. But if you go to PSR, that's a good way to look at it. Go to PSR if you're not sure, see how patrol works, see the report side of it, because that's 80% of what patrol does as well, especially now. Like if you stop somebody and write them a ticket for traffic, you don't have to do a report. But if you stop somebody for hitting somebody and you give them a ticket, you're writing a whole other report on top of that ticket.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Kramer about PSR stuff?
No, I think you cleared up a lot of the questions I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. That was good. Good little stint of information there. Roxas, what PSA do you have to leave us with today?
All right, so this week's PSA is when you think your situation should take priority. So that's pretty much for the people who we run into actually on a daily basis. So say you're on an incident and you've got police tape up, or you've got a scene up and you're blocking off a road because, someone died in an accident or something happened. There's a crime scene. Well, you block it off so that people don't walk through your crime scene. You always have that one person that starts walking at you and they walk up to the tape like, hey, can I go through here? I live right on the other side of the tape. And it's, people don't understand that, you walking around the block isn't a big deal, instead of like, you know what, go ahead and trample through our crime scene. You know what? Because you're just so much better than everyone else that we've blocked coming down here. But that's also another things too. It's like when you're on a call and you're dealing with something, you get those random people that walk up to you. Like the worst thing, like we talked about this before, when you're in a car and someone walks up on you, that's like the worst thing to do. Don't walk up on a cop who's sitting in his car. We get a lot of people that walk up and like, hey, there's something going on over here. Like, all right, well, I'm in the middle of something. Can you call it in or something? And it's not very important, whatever they're calling out. And then they cop an attitude with you. Well, you know what? Never mind. I don't need your help anyways. And they walk away cussing you up and down because apparently their little problem isn't big enough for you. And then the last one is pretty much when there's a call that's like in the works or it's over, like say like a robbery or burglary or something like that, where everything's done and there's not a whole lot going on, where we don't need immediate police presence to take care of it. There are a lot of priority calls that come out where we kind of take things in order. And then by the time you get there, it might be an hour and a half, 2 hours later, once the crime is over, because the only thing we're going to do is take a report. And then they MF you up and down because it took you 2 hours to get there. So, I mean, someone, keyed your car, someone scratched your thing isn't like a huge priority on our list of someone getting stabbed down the street that we're trying to give life-saving stuff to. So everyone just needs to understand that their little problems in life aren't always the top priority. There are other things that are going on out there.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yep, agreed.
I mean, some people just
Yeah.
I mean, everyone always says, "Isn't there someone more important you can get?" Yep, sometimes there is.
Sometimes there is, but at this exact moment, you're the best fish I found.
Yep.
well, you're the fish that I have to take.
Uh-huh.
Like, do you guys don't kill people? Yeah, right. Whatever.
Yeah.
F that lady. Let's go ahead and close this out, guys. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it. So thanks again. Stay safe.